Welcome back to the deep dive.
It's good to be back.
If you have been walking this path with us for the last few weeks, we've been on a pretty incredible journey.
It really has been.
We've been dissecting the ancient Indian education system, the Gurukulam, but we aren't looking at it as some dusty artifact in a museum. We are looking at it through a very modern and honestly a very urgent lens.
It has been a fascinating ride. I mean, we started with the absolute basics of how learning even happens, the Pramanas, and then we watched a child go from the moment of conception all the way through those early sponge-like years.
Right, those years where they are just absorbing the world around them without any filter.
Exactly, just taking it all in.
We've covered the what and the how of the early years. But today feels different. Today feels heavier, I think, in a good way.
It is big. Today is the graduation.
This is part 4 of our Gurukulam series. And if you're a parent, especially if you have a child who is, creeping up on those teenage years.
Or if you're already there.
Or maybe you're already in the thick of the eye rolling and the bedroom door slamming.
Yes.
Pull up a chair. Because today we are crossing a threshold. We are leaving the safe harbor of childhood and sailing into the turbulent, transformative, and frankly, sometimes terrifying waters of young adulthood.
This is the finishing school stage. This is where the rubber meets the road.
It really is.
Everything that was poured into the child during those early years, the data, the nutrition, the love, the values, is about to be tested. It's about to be shaken and hopefully crystallized into wisdom.
And I want to be crystal clear right off the bat. We aren't just doing a history lesson here, not at all. We have a very specific mission for this deep dive. We are looking at a central conflict that I think keeps a lot of us as parents awake at night.
Absolutely.
How do we raise children who aren't just smart in the academic sense? Because let's be honest, smart is becoming a commodity, but are actually wise.
A huge difference.
And even more urgently, and this is the part that, I don't know, it gives me chills.
Yeah.
How do we raise children who won't be replaced by a machine?
That is the crucial context for this entire discussion. That's the backdrop. We are looking at sources today, specifically excerpts from the Rishi architect, Ancient Wisdom for an AI World, and also operational insights from Leela Gurukulam.
Great.
And they draw a direct line between the ancient methodology of the Rishi and this very, very modern threat of artificial intelligence.
It's the AI versus Rishi showdown. It honestly sounds like a sci-fi movie, doesn't it?
It does. But it's not science fiction. It's actually the reality of the job market our children are walking into today, right now.
The game has changed.
It has. The stakes have completely changed. The skills that guaranteed success, say, 20 years ago are now the very skills that are most easily automated.
The things we were told to study.
Exactly. So the Gurukulam isn't just about spiritual growth anymore, as important as that is. It's about cognitive survival.
Cognitive survival. Wow, we're going to be unpacking that extensively. And I want to flag something right at the top here. Everything we were talking about today, all these, complex-sounding Sanskrit concepts, they have practical application. There's a new resource dropping on February 25th, 2026, called the Exploring Pramanas Kit from Leela Gurukulam.
Which is a fantastic tool. It's essentially a bridge.
It really is. I mean, it's designed for ages 10 to adult, which I find interesting.
It's for the whole family.
Right. And it bridges that gap between this high-level theory we discuss here and actual on-the-ground practice in your living room. So, keep that in the back of your mind as we dive in.
Absolutely.
But let's start with this first concept from the source material, this idea of the detour.
The detour, yes.
Yeah.
This is absolutely fundamental to understanding how the Gurukulam views the teenage years.
The source material describes the journey of the learner in a really interesting way. It says the ultimate goal is to connect the learner back to the primal source of all knowledge.
That resonance we talked about in the last deep dive.
Exactly, that resonance they were connected to before birth.
Right.
But the text says that to find this connection again, the learner must take a detour.
That sounds so counterintuitive. If I want to go to the grocery store, I don't drive 3 towns over first. Why the detour?
It's a beautiful, if somewhat paradoxical concept. And I think the key is understanding the nature of that initial connection.
Okay.
The idea is that the child is born connected to this resonance, this primal source. But it is an unconscious connection.
Unconscious? What do you mean?
They don't know they are connected. They just are. It's their default state. It's like breathing. You don't think about it. You just do it.
I see.
But as they grow, as they engage with the world, as they build an identity, they develop what the text calls spiritual amnesia.
Spiritual amnesia, like they forget who they really are?
In a sense, yes. They forget that they are this boundless consciousness, and they start to identify with the limited self.
The ego, the body, the mind, the labels that society and we as parents put on them. I am a student, I am a son, I am good at math, I am not good at sports, I am popular, or I am awkward.
And the source says this is necessary.
It's absolutely necessary. You cannot function in the world without an interface, and the ego is that interface. It's the spacesuit you wear to navigate the material world.
Okay, so you build the spacesuit.
You build the spacesuit, and the detour is the process of getting lost in that spacesuit. You become so identified with the suit that you forget you're the astronaut inside.
So that you can then consciously find your way back.
Precisely. You have to get lost to be found. You can't transcend the ego if you haven't built one first.
If you don't build the strong container, a strong identity, there is nothing to transcend.
You just remain undefined, sort of amorphous. But the mechanism for this finding, the tool that kicks in during the teenage years to start cracking that container open, is a pramana, a means of knowledge called arthapati.
Arthapati. Okay, let's unpack this. We've talked about pratyaksha, which is direct perception, seeing, hearing.
What your senses tell you.
And anumana, which is inference or logic. I see smoke, I infer there's fire. Those are pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But what is arthapati?
Arthapati translates roughly to postulation or derivation. But in the context of the teenage brain and the Gurukulam system, it's much more dynamic. It means the stage where the learner starts to question everything they have learned so far. It is the cognitive leap where the brain stops just accepting data inputs and starts auditing the source code.
Oh, I think every parent listening just nodded their head so hard. Auditing the source code. That is such a polite way of saying arguing about everything.
Chuckles. It often looks like rebellion, doesn't it? It looks like pushback. But we need to reframe that.
How so?
In the modern world, we see a teenager arguing or questioning authority, and our first instinct is to think, oh, they're being difficult, they're disrespectful.
Of course. Just listen to me. I know better.
Exactly. The Gurukulam sees it differently. They see it as a necessary biological and spiritual event. The child is moving from absorbing information, which is what they did all through childhood via Shabda, the testimony of parents and teachers.
Because I said so.
Because I said so, exactly. They are moving from that to seeking the self.
That's a huge shift. So when my teenager looks at me and asks, why do we believe this? Or that rule doesn't make any sense. They aren't just being annoying.
No.
They're exercising arthapati.
They are trying to derive their own truth. And think about it. Up until this point, everything they know is borrowed knowledge.
Borrowed knowledge.
Just the sky is blue because mom said so. Being kind is good because the teacher said so. This is our family's tradition because dad said so.
Yeah.
That is all borrowed wisdom.
And the source material is very, very strict about this. It has this incredible line that it floored me.
I think I know the one you mean.
Wisdom of one person is only conditioning on another.
Yes. Let that one sink in.
Wow. Let's just pause on that. Wisdom of one person is only conditioning on another. That cuts deep.
It implies that even if I am the wisest guru in the world or the most loving parent, and I tell you a profound truth, for you, it is just information.
It's not yours.
It's just a command. It is conditioning. It's a piece of code you've been given. Until you derive it for yourself, until you taste it through your own inquiry, your own arthapati, it isn't yours. It has no roots. It can be blown away by the first storm.
This is a massive crisis point for parents, isn't it?
It is.
Because all we want to do is save our kids the trouble. We want to say, look, I've lived through this. I made the mistakes. I got the scars. Just listen to me. Here's the shortcut.
And the Gurukulam is saying?
There is no shortcut.
You cannot give them the shortcut. In fact, by trying to, you're hindering them.
You're getting in the way of their arthapati.
You can provide the environment. You can provide the tools. You can answer their questions honestly, but you cannot do the arthapati for them. It's like trying to eat for your child.
Great analogy.
You can put the best, most nutritious food on their plate, but their body has to be the one to digest it, to break it down and absorb the nutrients. Arthapati is the digestion of knowledge into wisdom.
So they have to ask the questions.
They have to. Those big, scary, existential questions. Who am I, really, behind all these labels?
What am I here for?
What is the actual purpose of my life?
And honestly, a lot of adults stop asking those. We just get on the treadmill.
Exactly. And that is the tragedy. If a system, a family system or a school system suppresses those questions, if we tell kids, stop asking, just study for the test, just get the degree, just get the job, we stunt their growth.
You're freezing them in development.
We keep them in that borrowed wisdom phase. We create adults who are essentially overgrown children, just following a script written by someone else, by society, by their parents, by their culture.
And that leads right into the next big trap the source material identifies. And this one really caught me off guard because it challenges a phrase I use all the time. I'm willing to bet everyone listening uses it.
I think I know which one.
The phrase is, experience is the best teacher.
Yes, a very common belief. In the West, specifically, we idolize experience. Go out and see the world. That's how you'll really learn.
Right, get your hands dirty. But the source material says, hold on a minute. It argues that experience is the end result of learning, not the means to complete holistic learning. That feels like a riddle. What on earth does that mean?
This is a very subtle but incredibly crucial distinction. Let's look at the joy example provided in the text, because I think it explains it perfectly. This is something every family can relate to.
Right, the scenario is a child or anyone really experiencing a moment of pure joy at a family gathering or maybe on a great vacation.
So let's set the scene. You go on vacation to a beautiful beach resort. You see the sunset. That's pratyaksha, direct perception.
Yeah.
You have no work to do. You are with people you love. You feel a massive sense of peace and joy. That is the experience.
Yeah.
Now, if your learning stops there, if you just rely on that raw experience, what is the conclusion your mind draws?
The conclusion is, well, it's obvious. Vacations give me joy, or being with my family gives me joy, or sunsets make me happy.
Exactly. Your mind, using an umana or inference, equates the external situation with the internal feeling.
It creates a formula.
It creates a causality. A plus B equals joy. Family plus beach equals joy. This creates a dependency.
Ah, I see where this is going.
If I want to be happy, I need to go on vacation. If I want to feel joy, I need my family to behave in this specific, perfect way.
So my happiness becomes conditional. It's held hostage by my circumstances. And if it rains on the vacation,
Then you are miserable because your formula broke. The external inputs change, so the internal output must change too. This is what the source calls partial learning.
it's logical.
It's perfectly logical, but it's incomplete. And it's a trap. It traps you in the material world, constantly chasing the perfect setup, trying to engineer the perfect circumstances to trigger your happiness. And that is an exhausting, losing battle.
So what is holistic learning in this context? What's the better conclusion? How does the Gurukulam want the child to interpret that vacation joy?
Holistic learning is the self-revealed realization that joy is within me, and I can engineer its expression independent of situations.
Joy is within me. Okay, that sounds great. It sounds like something you'd see on a greeting card or an inspirational poster.
It does.
But how do you actually learn that? How does it become a lived reality? You can't learn that just by going on more vacations. That would just reinforce the first partial lesson.
No, you can't. You can't experience your way to that truth because experiences are, by their nature, always changing. They're fleeting. Today the vacation is great. Tomorrow it rains. Today your family is harmonious. Tomorrow they argue. If your knowledge is based only on experience, your wisdom will always be fluctuating. It will be unstable.
So how do we bridge that gap? How does the Gurukulam get a teenager from, I like vacations, to the much deeper, more stable understanding that I am the source of my own joy?
This is where Shabda Pramana comes in again, but in a new, more mature way.
Shabda Pramana. That translates to word or testimony, right?
Yes. In early childhood, Shabda is the word of the parent. Don't touch the stove, it's hot. The child accepts it. But in the teenage years, Shabda refers to the words of the wise, the scriptures, or the guru.
Okay.
It is a valid means of knowledge that reveals things your senses cannot perceive and your logic cannot deduce. You cannot see your inner self with your eyes. You cannot infer your innate joyful nature with logic. You need a pointer.
Yeah.
Shabda is that pointer.
So the guru or the text says, hey, listen, that joy you felt on vacation, it wasn't the sunset.
It wasn't the beach.
The sunset just removed the stress and the noise for a moment, and your natural state of joy bubbled up to the surface. You are the joy.
Exactly. And because the student is now in this arthapati phase, this questioning, deriving phase, they don't just believe it blindly. That's the key difference.
Right. It's not because I said so anymore.
No. They take that statement from Shabda and they use it as a hypothesis. Okay, the Rishis says joy is within me. Let me test that. Let me see if that holds up.
How they test it.
They start to observe their own inner state. Let me sit in a traffic jam and see if I can access that joy. Or let me be in a difficult conversation and see if I can remain connected to that inner peace.
The ultimate test. Traffic jam enlightenment.
It's the final frontier.
But I get it. It's a profound shift. It's moving from cause and effect, where the external world controls my internal state, to self-mastery, where I control my internal world regardless of the external chaos.
And that transition is the primary goal of the late teens in the Gurukulam. It's to separate the self from the situation, to find the unconditional amidst the conditional.
So let's look at the how. We know the what. We want them to be independent, wise, self-sourcing joy. But how do they actually do it? Because, teenage hormones are real, the chaos is real, the social pressure is real. The source material mentions a specific toolkit for the late teens.
Yes. Once the questioning of Arthapati has done its job, and the source suggests this is typically completed by the late teens, the student is ready. They've broken down the old, borrowed structures. Now they're ready to be guided back to the source. The spiritual amnesia starts to lift.
And the Gurukulam has a process for this.
A very clear one. It uses 3 pillars of practice here: dhyana, bhakti, and shraddha.
Let's define those quickly for anyone new to these terms. Dhyana is meditation or self-focus.
Right. The ability to direct your attention inward.
Bhakti is devotion.
A sense of connection to something larger than your own ego.
And shraddha. That's usually translated as faith, right?
Yeah.
But it feels like more than that.
It is. It's faith, but specifically faith coupled with self-reflection. It's the earnestness to find the truth for yourself. It's not blind faith. It's the trust that there is a truth to be found if you look sincerely.
Okay, so you have these 3 pillars. And to support them, the source says they use what it calls sacred technology.
I love that term.
Me too. Sacred technology. It sounds like something from a futuristic fantasy novel. But we're talking about very ancient tools: yantra, mantra, and chandas.
Right. And for a modern listener, especially maybe a secular parent, these might sound like religious rituals. Why is my kid chanting? What does looking at a geometric pattern do?
That's a fair question.
It is. But the text frames them not as religious acts, but as technologies for the mind. We need to look at them through the lens of, say, acoustics and neuroscience and vibrational physics.
Demystify it for us. Let's break them down. Yantra is sacred geometry.
A visual anchor for the mind.
Mantra is sacred sound.
A sonic tool for focusing consciousness.
And chandas. That one's less common.
Chandas refers to meter, rhythm, and prosody, the sacred sequences and patterns of sound. Think of it as the mathematical structure of the mantra.
Okay, so why are we giving teenagers geometry and rhythm? Are they starting a band?
Laughs. In a way they are. They are learning to tune the instrument of their own body and mind.
Okay, explain that.
Think about the state of the average teenage mind. It's chaotic. It's a storm. It's full of hormones, existential questions, emotions, social anxiety, academic pressure. It is a hurricane of high-frequency noise.
Absolutely. A non-stop hurricane.
So what do mantra and chandas do? They provide a structure. A predictable, coherent vibrational structure that calms and focuses the mind.
How?
It regulates the breath, which directly regulates the nervous system. It shifts the brain from a state of reactive, sympathetic, fight or flight panic to a state of receptive, parasympathetic focus.
It's like putting a turbulent, overflowing river into a smooth, deep channel.
That's a perfect analogy. It structures the resonance. The text says this prepares the learner to receive higher knowledge. You can't pour the ocean into a cup that is shaking violently and full of cracks.
So these tools stabilize the cup.
They stabilize the cup. They create a state of coherence in the brain and the body where learning and insight can actually happen.
And the goal of all this stabilization is what? Is it just to be calm? Is that the end game?
No, being calm is just a wonderful side effect. It's the necessary ground condition. The ultimate goal is to enter the realm of self-knowledge.
Calm?
To become quiet enough to actually hear the words of the Rishis, not just as intellectual concepts, but as living truths. And most importantly, to fortify their connection to their own Shabda.
Their own Shabda. Not the guru's Shabda or the parent's Shabda.
Exactly. Their inner voice, their intuition.
Their inner sound. Their guiding light. The idea is that once you graduate from the Gurukulam, the guru isn't going to be sitting next to you for the rest of your life.
Your parents won't be there to make every decision.
Right.
You need an internal GPS that is calibrated to the truth, to your own unique purpose. That is your Shabda. This whole process is about building and calibrating that internal compass so they can navigate any storm life throws at them.
I love that. And it's only then.
And only then, once that internal foundation is set, does the Gurukulam say, okay, now you are ready. Go out and engage with the world.
Not conquer the world.
No, engage with it. Contribute to it.
This is the householder phase. This is post-graduation life. And this is another area where the Gurukulam philosophy seems to run completely counter to our modern ideas. We usually tell kids, go out, get a job, climb the ladder, win.
The winning mindset. It's the default operating system of modern capitalism, isn't it?
It is. But the Gurukulam redefines success entirely. It encourages specialization mastering a stream, whether it's academic learning, art, a skill, literature, whatever. But the goal isn't just accumulation of wealth or power.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And the source quote here is just, it's so beautiful. It says, the Gurukulam does not prepare a human being to compete and win in the world.
Right.
It prepares complete human beings to celebrate their life and contribute to the world.
Celebrate and contribute. That is a massive paradigm shift from compete and win.
It changes everything. It reframes your entire relationship with work and with other people.
How so?
Well, if you are trying to win, you are constantly looking at others as rivals. You are operating from a scarcity mindset. If he gets the promotion, I don't. If her company succeeds, mine is threatened.
It's a zero-sum game.
It's a zero-sum game. But if your mission is to celebrate and contribute, you are in an abundance mindset. You are looking for where you can serve. You are looking for where your specific, unique genius fits into the grand puzzle of society.
And this brings us to the householder concept. In the West, we might think of this as just settling down, getting married, buying a house.
This sort of winding down.
Yeah. But in the Indian context, the grahasta, householder, has a huge active responsibility.
The householder is the backbone of society. They're the ones who generate wealth, who raise the next generation, who support the aesthetics, who uphold the arts and sciences. They are the engine.
But the key is that they do it with that inner joy we talked about earlier.
That is the absolute key. They aren't working to become happy. They aren't grinding away for 40 years hoping to find joy in retirement.
They are working out of happiness.
Yes. They bring their innate joy to their work. Their work becomes an expression of their inner fullness, not a desperate attempt to fill an inner void.
That distinction is everything. Working for happiness versus working from happiness. If you work for happiness, you are a slave to the job. If you work from happiness, the job is just your creative expression in the world.
And that stability, that inner source joy, leads us directly into the biggest challenge facing the modern householder or worker today. The thing that threatens that ability to contribute.
The giant elephant in the room.
The rise of artificial intelligence.
Okay, here we go. The Rishi versus AI segment.
Yeah.
This is the part of the source material that felt, I don't know, it felt truly prophetic. When I read this, I realized this isn't just about ancient India. This is about 2026 and beyond.
It is incredibly timely. I mean, the timing couldn't be more perfect. The source material frames the modern education system, the one most of us went through and the one most of our kids are in, as essentially a factory.
A factory. And what is that factory producing?
Tool users.
Tool users.
Yes. Think about what we are trained to do in school, from kindergarten all the way through university. We are trained to take in data, read a book, listen to a lecture, memorize a date. That's pratyaksha.
Right.
Then we're trained to process that data using logic, solve a math problem, write a 5-paragraph essay, construct an argument, that's anumana.
Processing.
And finally, we're trained to execute a function. Pass the test, get the grade, output.
We are biological computers. Input, processing, output.
Exactly. We are trained to be very efficient logical processors. And for the last 100 years, maybe more, that was a great model. That got you a good job as an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor, a coder. If you could process logic faster and more accurately than the next guy, you won.
But now
the game has fundamentally, irrevocably changed.
because we have built a machine that is the ultimate tool user.
The ultimate AI.
It can process data, pratyaksha,
Oh.
at a scale we can't even comprehend. It can read every law book in existence in seconds.
And its anumana, its logical inference, is breathtaking. It can write code faster than a whole team of human engineers. It can diagnose diseases from medical scans with more accuracy than a veteran radiologist.
Exponentially faster and cheaper.
And it doesn't need coffee breaks. It doesn't have bad days. It doesn't get emotional. So if your value in the marketplace is your ability to recall data or follow a logical flowchart,
You're obsolete.
you're in trouble. The machine wins that race, and it's not even close.
That is a terrifying thing to hear as a parent.
Yeah.
Hey, send your kid to school for 12, 16, 20 years to learn a set of skills that a $20 a month subscription can do better.
It is a crisis, and the source material puts it so starkly. If we educate children only on these levels, only on data and logic, we are training them to compete in a game they have already lost.
We're training them for a world that doesn't exist anymore.
We are.
So what is the alternative? If we can't beat the machine at being a machine, what's left? What is the human advantage?
The creator, the Rishi architect.
Define that for us. What makes the creator different from the tool user?
The tool user, and the AI is the perfect example of this, works with what already exists.
Okay.
It reorganizes existing data. It synthesizes past patterns. It finds connections between known points. An AI is essentially a magnificent remix machine. It looks at all of human art and predicts the next pixel. It looks at all of human text and predicts the next word.
It's working with the past.
It's a master of the past. But the creator, the Rishi architect, they access the para.
Hera, that means beyond, right?
Yes, the source of revelation, the transcendent, the place where new ideas, true novelty come from, the place where something that does not exist is brought into existence.
So AI organizes what is. The Rishi brings forth what is not.
Exactly. Think about a great composer, a Beethoven. AI can analyze every symphony ever written and spit out something that sounds like Beethoven. It can mimic the pattern.
And it might even be pleasant to listen to.
It might be beautiful, but it cannot reach into the absolute silence and pull out a melody that has never been heard before. That requires a connection to the source. That requires consciousness. That requires the ability to receive Shabda from the para.
And that requires the inner technology we talked about earlier. The mantra, the dhyana, the ability to quiet the noisy, logical mind.
Yes, this is the punchline. This is why the Gurukulam model is not just ancient history, it is future-proofing.
It's an operating system for the AI age.
It is. By training the child to access their inner Shabda, to connect to the para, to be comfortable in the unknown, in the silence, we are training them to do the one thing AI cannot do.
Which is to be truly creative, to manifest revelation into reality.
And this gives human labor a new, and I would argue a more profound value. The value is no longer in doing the work. AI can do the work. The value is in visioning the work.
The human becomes the architect. The AI becomes the construction crew.
A perfect way to put it. But you cannot be an architect if you don't know how to dream. And our modern education system, with its focus on standardized tests and memorization, it crushes the ability to dream in favor of the ability to process.
This puts the whole revival of the Gurukulam in a completely new light. It's not about nostalgia. It's not about, oh, wasn't it nice back in the Vedic times when everyone sat under a tree?
Not at all. It's about survival.
It's about necessity.
It is about necessity, and that is what Leela Gurukulam is attempting to do. They aren't saying, let's all go live in the forest and ignore technology.
Quite the opposite.
They are saying, let's revive this cognitive operating system because our kids are going to need it to run the technology rather than be run by it.
This is all amazing, but it can feel, I don't know, a bit overwhelming for a parent listening right now.
Of course.
Like, okay, great, I need to raise a Rishi, but I also have to get my kid to soccer practice and make sure their homework is done. How do we even start this? You can't just overhaul the school system overnight.
No, but you can overhaul your home. You can change the culture in your own family. And this is why this Exploring Pramanas kit is so exciting.
Right. Dropping February 25th, 2026. This is the toolkit from Leela Gurukulam.
This kit is designed for children from age 10 all the way to adults. And I think that age range is so significant.
It's not just a kid's toy.
No, it implies this is a family activity. Usually you buy a toy for a 10-year-old and the parent ignores it. Or you buy a business book for the dad and the kid ignores it.
Right.
This is a family operating system upgrade. The kit is designed to help families understand these different means of knowledge in a practical, fun way.
So it's not a textbook.
Not at all. It's experiential. It helps you distinguish between, hey, I saw this, Pratyaksha, versus I figured this out from the clues, Anumana, versus this idea just came to me, Shabda.
So it turns the dinner table conversation into a training ground for rishis.
Laughs. Hopefully. But at the very least, it helps parents and children move away from that black and white factory logic. It gives them a shared language to discuss intuition, inspiration, and the source of their ideas.
That sounds incredibly powerful.
Imagine your child comes home from school and says, I have this amazing idea for a project. Instead of just saying, that's nice, dear, you can ask, where did that come from? Did you see it somewhere, Pratyaksha? Did you deduce it from what the teacher said, Anumana? Or did it just pop into your head from the silence, Shabda?
That distinction alone validates their creativity. It tells them that the pop from the silence is real and valuable.
It tells them that is their superpower. That's the part the machine can't replicate.
And it's in English, right? So it's accessible to families everywhere.
Yes, fully accessible. It's designed to bridge that gap. You don't need to be a Sanskrit scholar to start. You just need to be a curious parent who realizes that the old roadmap,
The one we were all given.
the one that says memorize this, get good grades, and you'll be fine, that map doesn't lead where we want to go anymore.
That is the key.
Yeah.
The map has changed. The territory has changed. And the tools we were given, the study hard, get a degree, be a good tool user, tools, they're rusting. They're breaking against the reality of AI.
They are, and we have a profound responsibility to give our children better tools. Tools that don't just help them survive the new economy, but help them thrive as complete human beings.
Tools that allow them to celebrate and contribute.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, and really this whole 4-part series on the Gurukulam, let's just look back at the arc for a second.
It's been quite a journey. We started with the first spark of learning in the womb. We watched the child absorb the world.
We saw them enter the fire of the teenage years, questioning everything, breaking it all down.
And now we see them emerging on the other side, not as cogs in a machine, but as creators.
It's a powerful vision. It's a hopeful vision in a time that can feel pretty bleak.
It is. It's a vision of a human being who is not just a processor of information, but a source of light. A human being who doesn't just answer questions, but questions the answers.
And, that leads me to the final thought I want to leave our listeners with today. We always like to leave you with a little something to chew on, something to take into your week.
And this one is a direct challenge to the AI narrative.
Here it is. If artificial intelligence can answer every question based on logic and data, if it can outthink you on anumana and outperceive you on praityaksha, then the only value left in a human being is the ability to ask a question that has no logical predecessor.
A question that comes from nowhere, from the para, from the mystery.
So the question for you, listening right now, is this. Are you raising a child who can answer questions? Or are you raising a child who can ask the one question that changes everything?
That is the difference between a tool user and a Rishi.
Think about that. And keep an eye out for the Exploring Pramanas kit on February 25th. It might just be the first step in that direction.
It's a step worth taking.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll see you next time.